That means that we accept and acknowledge every truth that exists and every hindrance that is out there, everything that could potentially hinder us from doing what we want to do or need to do. We don't go into denial about it and pretend like those obstacles do not exist. We do not ignore any reality, whether it's good or bad, that could possibly hinder us. It's just that although we accept, as far as this philosophy, that's what I'm referring to, although we accept reality, that there are some things that could get in your way, there are some obstacles, there are some inherent issues and problems that could hold you back, racism being one of them, it certainly does exist. We accept these things, we acknowledge them, we don't have to be in denial about them, but we don't use them as an excuse. That is the difference. We don't use them as an excuse. We don't use anything as an excuse. We look for and we take advantage of the myriad of opportunities that exist. That is the philosophy of no excuses, no exceptions, which is a philosophy that I try to apply to every area and every avenue of my life, because it can apply and does apply, whether you're talking about relationships or morality or your personal values or your goals or objectives or your health, your fitness, your mindset, spirituality, family relationships, raising your children, whatever it is you do. You don't make excuses. You just do the things you need to do in order to reach the goals and objectives that you set for yourself. And you set goals and objectives, and you do it with a mindset that says no excuses and no exceptions. Now, the exceptions part is crucial, because a lot of people may say no excuses, but then they have quite a number of exceptions. They'll say, well, no excuses ordinarily, but in this case, here's the exception. So I'm going to use this excuse this time. And then they never really get off the ground. They never accomplish or achieve what it is they need to accomplish or achieve. And the bad thing about it is oftentimes they never even try. They never even try. Why should they? They've got an excuse for failure, and of course, it is never their own fault. It's always someone else. It's something else. Now is not the right time. I'll do this later when I get around to it. I'll do it when the economy turns around. Money is not available right now. I can't raise the money I need to do what I need to do. They're not giving loans to anyone right now because of the economy. They're not making loans to people like me. What the heck is that this guy's got on? Anyway, they're not making loans, or money is not available, or I don't have any connections, or I've got a bad credit score, or I don't have enough money to do what I need to do, or I don't have enough time, which is one of the most common excuses people use, and which is most of the time it's a lie. You know, you don't have enough time, then you make time, and we can all do that. Well, usually. And let me just digress and give you an example. I did a speech once, and I was talking about writing, and I was talking about the fact that I was published, and I had over a dozen book projects out there that had been published. And I talked about some of the other projects I was working on, you know, websites and blogs and things like that, entrepreneurial endeavors. And some of the people, they asked me afterwards, after I gave the presentation, they said, how do you find the time to do all of this? And they could see that I also had a life, that I had a family, that I had a wife, that I had children, that I had a social life, that I, did things recreational. I was living a full life pretty much. And it's not like I took care of everything as far as family, spirituality, work, rest, and play. Okay. The only thing I may have really compromised on is rest. I will admit that I was not getting as much rest as I should, but I got to a point, or I was at a point where my body only required maybe 4 hours of sleep. 5 or 6 was great. I could do great on 5 or 6 hours of sleep, but if necessary, I could do fine on just 4. And I'm talking about without being exhausted and tired, or falling asleep the next day, falling asleep in a meeting, falling asleep while driving, or any of that. 4 hours would do it for me. Okay? And we can't all do that. But, I found that I could do just fine on a minimum of 4 hours sleep. Now, less than 4 hours, especially substantially less, I probably would be tired. I mean, there have been times where I literally got no sleep at all, and that does happen. And it would not be recommendable for anyone to do that too often, but sometimes out of necessity, when you're really busy, it just works out that way. But when they basically asked me, how do I find the time to do all of these things, my response to them was that you put it properly when you said, how do I find the time? What they really meant is, how do you do this? But the way they put it was, how do you find the time? And I said, well, the answer to that question is within the context of the content of the question itself. You have to find the time, and if you can't, you make the time. It's like anything else. It's like finding money. You may say that you don't have enough money for this or that, but you can find a way to make something affordable by compromising on something else. It's like you might call it robbing Peter to pay Paul or whatever, but that's what you do. Okay, so you find increments of time that you can utilize to do the things you need to do. For example, let's say you take a lunch for 1 hour. Okay, now let's say that you have a regular 9-to-5 job. You're not an entrepreneur, you have a 9-to-5 job. Let's say you take a lunch for 1 hour. Is it possible that you could get by with a 30-minute lunch and use 30 minutes of your lunch hour to do the things that you say you don't have the time to do? And let's say writing is one of them. Is it possible that you could take a laptop computer to your job, and maybe if you have a 1 hour lunch hour, spend 30 minutes eating and socializing, because a lot of people only have 30 minutes and they do just fine. Couldn't you spend 30 minutes, and I mean every single day consistently, engaging in what people typically do on lunch, which is socializing and eating, and spend the other 30 minutes, go off in a corner someplace with your laptop computer and do the thing that you said you didn't have enough time to do, which is write your novel, your book, your bestseller, your how-to, whatever it is that you say you don't have the time to do, but you say that you want to do, your script, whatever it is. Couldn't you do that? I mean, just think about it. In a 5-day work week, that would be, at 30 minutes a day, that would be 2.5 hours. Now, how much compromising are you really doing? You're still eating every day. You're still enjoying your lunch. You're still socializing at lunchtime. It's just that you're investing 30 minutes of that lunch hour in writing your book. Or if you are a commuter, couldn't you spend, let's say that you, many people, they commute on the bus or train to their job. Couldn't you spend that time doing something productive and constructive? I mean, you might commute 1 hour there and 1 hour back. That's 2 hours a day. That's 10 hours a week that you could spend writing your book, your novel, whatever. Or maybe you don't have the luxury of taking a train or a bus, and maybe you drive every day, 1 hour there, 1 hour back. Obviously, you cannot type and write as you drive, but you could certainly do pretty much what I'm doing right now. You see, I'm driving, but I'm multitasking. I'm also making this video. By the same token, you could drive, and at the same time, you could make a audio recording of your novel, your book, your screenplay, whatever it is you say you don't have enough time to do. And then you can simply transcribe it to paper. In fact, you could actually write your book by recording your own voice and, just sort of get your ideas down in audio and then have it transcribed later into print. You could actually have someone else to do that. You could have a company to do that. There are companies online that will transcribe it for you. Or you could even use a software program like DragonSpeak that has a device that system that allows you to record into a digital recorder, and then it will transcribe your words into print. And then all you have to do at that point is clean it up. And that would make it a lot easier. In other words, you find ways to do the things you need to do, the things you want to do, but what you don't do is make excuses for why you can't do it, and use that excuse and actually not do the very thing that you say that you're serious about, that you say you want to do, but you never ever take action because you've got all of these excuses. And one of the excuses is, I don't have enough time. And those are just a few examples of how you make enough time. And like I said, if you typically go to bed at 8 o'clock, I don't know who, well, I'm not going to say I don't know who does that. Well, my mother does it. You typically go to bed at 8 o'clock. Would it kill you to stay up one additional hour and go to bed at 9 o'clock and spend that hour, in other words, borrow that hour from your sleep time and work on your project, whatever your project might be? Even no matter how busy you are, instead of getting 9 hours of sleep, reduce it to 8 hours of sleep and spend that extra hour doing something constructive. And if you're getting 8 hours of sleep, that's what you're accustomed to, maybe you can reduce that to 7 hours sleep. If you're getting 7, maybe you could reduce it to 6. Like I said, I'll do just fine on 4. Okay? But when I consistently get as little as 4 and 5 hours of sleep, I make up for it when I have the time, and I may sleep to 10 or 11 o'clock or 11:30 even. But typically, if I sleep that long, it's because I went to bed late. I really don't need that much sleep under any circumstance. If I try to get too much sleep, it's just not going to work out for me. Bottom line, do what you need to do. Don't make excuses for why you can't do it. Just get it done. It's that simple.